afternoon, lovely humans. Welcome back. So today we are going to be doing section 913. We're going to be getting some more practice solving equations that look like this, and practicing what we learned about last time with the quadratic formula. Sing it with me. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so we are for 24. First it asks you to solve it with zero product property, so you're going to factor and then solve. Part B asks you to use this lovely formula, and then part C makes sure that they are the same. So give it a try for yourself. I'll be back to go over it. Alright, welcome back. So the factoring for part A is a little trickier than normal. We do have a big old number out in the front. There isn't a GCF that you can factor out. So let's go through it together. For 6x, so you put your 6x squared and negative 10. So your product is going to be negative 60x squared, and the sum should be 11x. Here's where you can make a list of all the factors of negative 60. So we have 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, and that looks like our magic pair. Remember, it's negative 60, so we got to make one of these negative. Let's make it negative 4 so that we get a positive 11 when we add them together. So negative 4x and 15x. Then we start looking for greatest common factors. So on the outsides, we end up with, here 2x goes into both of these, so I'm going to put 2x here. 3x goes into both of these, so I'm going to put 3x here. 3x times what is 15x? That's going to be 5. 5 times what is negative 10? That's going to be negative 2. So we end up with 3x minus 2 times 2x plus 5 equals 0. From there, we know that one of these numbers must be 0, right? Just a number times a number is 0. One of them has to be 0. So let's use that to solve. 3x minus 2 equals 0. 2x plus 5 equals 0. That leads us to our solutions. So we can add 2 on both sides. We can divide by 3 on both sides. We get x is equal to 3 over 2, 2 over 3. Here we subtract 5 on both sides, so 2x equals negative 5. Divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals negative 5 over 2. Note that fractions are usually preferable. If you wrote 0.6 repeating, that's okay, but I don't know why you'd go through the extra effort if you can just see that this is 2 over 3. You can leave it like that. Alright, part B, we're going to use our quadratic formula. So I've color-coded it and set it up. Remember, I always recommend setting it up with these parentheses so that you don't miss any negatives. We're going to have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a, which is 6, so 4 times 6, times c, which is negative 10. Remember, we take the sign that's right before the number. All divided by 2 times a, so 2 times 6, which is 12. Sorry, 2 times 6. We're going to plug in the 6. I got ahead of myself. Which in the next step will be 12. Alright, so then we want to start simplifying. So I'm going to do these 3 parts on the next step. So we get x is equal to negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 121 plus 240, right? Negative 4 times 6 times negative 10, all divided by 12. From there, we want to simplify this part, so the square root of 120 plus 240. That is the square root of 361, so I'm just going to write 19 divided by 12. And then we have our positive version, so negative 11 plus 19 over 12. And then the negative 11 minus 19 over 12. And when you simplify them down, you do end up with negative 5 over 2 and 2 over 3. Whew. Okay. So yes, we did get the same thing. You may have gotten 8 over 12 and negative 20 over 12. If that's the case, that's fine. Just know that when you simplify them, you do get the same result as you did with zero product property. So at this point, there are different people that prefer different methods. Again, in future sections, we will kind of explore when is it better to use each one. But sometimes it just comes down to a matter of preference. So some people really like the quadratic formula. Just plug it in and you're good to go. Some people really prefer factoring. So next up, 9-25 ABCD. For these problems, really important, when we identify A, B, and C, 6, 11, and negative 10, we could do that right away because it was already equal to 0, right? If it's not already equal to 0, make it that way. So like subtract on both sides or add on both sides, and then identify A, B, and C. Also note if one of the terms is missing, then there aren't any of those terms. So you're going to put in 0 for that number in the quadratic formula. Give it a shot. I will be going over the answers in a few moments. Let's go over 925. So what I've done, if you'd like, you can just check your answers here. I also have all the classwork keys in the drive and posted on Canvas. So you can check there if you'd like, or here. But what I am going to go through is the trickier part of each section. So if you are good and don't need this explanation, you can move on to 926. Otherwise, stick with me and we'll go over the tricky parts. So 4x squared minus 121. Remember that a comes before x squared, so a is equal to 4. B comes before x, but there is no x, so b is equal to 0. And then c is equal to the constant term, so c is equal to negative 121. From there, it's just a matter of plugging it all in. Remember our parentheses, and you should be good to go. For part B, the tricky part is that they put it out of order, right? So in this case, a is 2, right? It comes before x squared. C is negative 2, because that's the constant term. And b is the number, the coefficient of x, so that's going to be negative 3. Part C is tricky because it's not equal to 0 yet, so you have to start by adding 630 on both sides. So you get 15x squared minus 165x plus 630 equals 0. And then from there, you can solve. So you can plug in a equals 15, b equals negative 165, and c is equal to 630. And for the last one, same deal, we need to get it equal to 0 first, so let's subtract 60x on both sides to get 36x squared minus 60x plus 25 equals 0. And now we're ready to identify A, B, and C. So A equals 36, B equals negative 60, C equals 25. From there, again, it's just plug and chug. Make sure you set it up like I recommend so you don't mess up any of your negative symbols, right? So set it up like negative b squared plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. That way all you have to do is plug in your numbers, worry about the negatives later. All divided by 2a. So I really do recommend writing that before you get started. All right, lots of practice. Luckily this is a pretty short one today. So next up we have 9-26. Give it a try, parts A, B, and C, and we will go over it. All right, so 9-26, we are going to be looking at our modeling situation. We have an arch that looks like a parabola, so you can model it with an equation. So the equation that they model it with is y equals 630 minus 0.00635 x squared. From here you have tons of options to solve for your x-intercepts, right? So if you want to figure out your x-intercepts here, then all you got to do is plug in y equals 0. You could just go to desmos.com and graph it. That's valid. We have technology. You could solve using quadratic formula, right? So C, the constant, is 630. And then A is this number, so negative 0.00635. You could try to solve by factoring, but with a decimal, that's kind of gross. Or you can just solve by undoing. So that's the way I'm going to show, because I feel like from here, or from Desmos, you can kind of figure it out. But solving by undoing is kind of cool. So the first step you want to do, so you have 0. The first step, you want to add this number on both sides. So we get 0.00635x squared is equal to 630. I'm going to switch markers because this one's dying on me. You want to get the x squared by itself, so we're going to divide by 0.00635. We will get x squared equals 99,212.6-ish. And then, actually that might have been exact. And then we take the square root, right? So what number squared equals this? That's going to be the positive and negative square root of that number, which is approximately positive 314.98 and negative 314.98. So about 315. This is a bridge, right? So if this is about negative 315, I wrote that in the wrong order. And this is 315. What do those numbers tell us about our lovely bridge? And I'll let you kind of think about that one. You can also check the answers on the classwork key. Part B, pretty straightforward. So why is the base of the bridge? You have everything you need to know. And then part C asks you for the tallest point on the bridge. So the tallest point is going to be right here. That is our y-intercept. And that is going to be where x is equal to 0. So take your equation. There are so many decimals or numbers in this equation. And plug in x equals 0, right? So then this whole thing goes away. The highest point is 630 feet. Kind of cool because it's actually as wide as it is tall. So it's like about 630 feet wide plus an extra 630 feet tall. So it's like could fit inside of a square or something. That's all for today. Have a great rest of your day. I hope to see you at the conference.